Iran just fired on a South Korean cargo ship. Trump went on Truth Social within minutes and demanded South Korea join the war. And South Korea said nothing. That silence is the most important geopolitical signal of this entire conflict, and nobody is explaining why. In the next 15 minutes, I am going to show you exactly what happened to that ship, why Trump's demand is more desperate than it sounds, why South Korea's silence is actually a calculated strategic move, and what this moment tells us about how close this war is to pulling in countries that have nothing to do with it. Stay with me because this story connects to something much bigger than one ship getting fired on. Let me start with exactly what happened. A South Korean cargo vessel was transiting the Strait of Hormuz under the protection of the U.S. Navy's Project Freedom operation, the American-led mission to guide commercial ships safely through the strait. Iran fired on it anyway. Think about what that means for a second. Iran looked at a ship with American military protection, American destroyers nearby, American helicopters overhead, and fired on it anyway. That is not a miscalculation. That is a message. Iran is telling every country in the world, American protection in the Strait of Hormuz does not make your ships safe. And the first country to receive that message directly was South Korea. Now Trump's response. Within hours, Trump posted on Truth Social, and I want you to pay attention to the exact wording because it matters. He wrote that a South Korean cargo ship had come under fire from Iran, and then added, "Perhaps it is time for South Korea to come and join the mission." That one sentence, "Perhaps it is time for South Korea to come and join the mission," is one of the most revealing things Trump has said in this entire war. Here is why. Trump is not asking South Korea out of strength, he is asking out of need. Let me explain what Project Freedom actually looks like on the ground right now. The U.S. Navy successfully guided 2 merchant ships through the Strait of Hormuz on day 1 of the operation. 2 ships. The Strait of Hormuz normally handles approximately 3,000 vessels per month. 2 ships made it through under American protection on day 1. The U.S. military described this as a success. Iran described it as proof that America cannot reopen the strait. Both of them are right. America has the most powerful navy in the world, and it got 2 ships through on the first day while Iran fired on a third. That is the reality of Project Freedom right now. And Trump, looking at those numbers, looking at the cost of protecting every single vessel with American destroyers and American helicopters, turned to South Korea and said, "Help." Now, why South Korea specifically? This is the part that most coverage is completely missing. South Korea is one of the largest importers of Middle Eastern oil in the world. Before this war started, South Korea was importing approximately 3 million barrels of oil per day, a significant portion of it from the Gulf region. The Strait of Hormuz closure has hit South Korea's economy extremely hard. South Korean manufacturers, the companies that make the cars and the electronics and the chips that the entire world buys, are dealing with energy cost shocks that are running through every layer of their supply chain. So when Trump says perhaps it is time for South Korea to join the mission, he is essentially saying you need this strait open as much as we do. Come help us open it. The logic sounds reasonable on the surface, and that's exactly why South Korea's silence in response is so loud. Because South Korea has a problem that Trump's invitation does not solve, and that problem has a name. It is called China. South Korea's single largest trading partner is China, not the United States. China exports more to South Korea than any other country on Earth. South Korean companies, Samsung, Hyundai, LG, SK Hynix, have massive manufacturing operations inside China. The Chinese market is not optional for South Korea, it is existential. And China has made its position on this war absolutely clear through its actions, even if not through its words. China is running the dark fleet that is keeping Iran financially alive. China's yuan payment system is processing Iranian oil revenue. China has not condemned Iran once in 66 days of war. China's silence is the loudest possible signal that Beijing considers Iran's survival a Chinese strategic interest. So Trump is asking South Korea to join a military mission that puts South Korean ships in the Strait of Hormuz fighting Iran, while South Korea's most important economic relationship is with the country that is keeping Iran alive. If South Korea joins the mission, China notices. If China notices, South Korean companies face economic retaliation in the Chinese market. If South Korean companies face Chinese economic retaliation, the South Korean economy takes a hit that makes the energy cost shock from the Strait of Hormuz closure look small. South Korea is being asked to choose between its security partner and its economic lifeline, and the answer to that choice, so far, is silence. But here's what makes this moment even more significant. South Korea is not the only American ally in this position right now. Japan has the same problem. Japan is also a massive importer of Gulf oil. Japan also has China as its largest or second largest trading partner depending on the month. Japan has also said nothing about joining the mission. Australia has the same problem. India has a version of the same problem. Every major American ally in the Indo-Pacific is facing the same impossible calculation: side openly with America against Iran and risk the Chinese economic relationship, or stay quiet and watch the Strait of Hormuz remain partially closed while energy prices keep rising. Trump's demand to South Korea is not just about South Korea's navy. It's about whether the American alliance system in the Indo-Pacific holds under the pressure of a war that China has positioned itself to benefit from regardless of the outcome. South Korea's silence is not weakness, it is the most rational response to an impossible choice. And the impossible choice, join America and risk China or stay silent and drift from America, is the same impossible choice that every country in the world is being forced to make by a war that started 66 days ago and shows no sign of ending. Iran fired on one ship, but the ripple from that one ship is now running through every alliance, every trade relationship, every strategic calculation from Seoul to Tokyo to Beijing to Washington. And until America asks China to put the card down at the summit, until that one ask is made, more ships will be fired on, more allies will face impossible choices, and the silence from Seoul will keep getting louder. If this gave you clarity that you aren't getting anywhere else, share this right now. I'll see you in the next one.